Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne and today I'm going to share with y'all how I make my homemade salsa bar with also my homemade corn tortilla chips. We have a beautiful host of fresh ingredients we will be using. We're going to make 2 delicious salsas and also some guacamole. Let's get started. So first what we're going to do is we're going to get started on our homemade tortilla chips. And if you have never made homemade tortilla chips, these are the kind of tortilla chips that you would have if you were going to go out to a Mexican restaurant or at a Mexican food market or maybe a taqueria. You would find these homemade style tortilla chips. So I have 40 regular size corn tortillas and I have cut them in fourths. So you cut them and then you cut them again the other way and you're going to get your nice triangles. So with your oil, I'm using vegetable oil. You want to have at least 2 to 3 inches of oil because you see when you put your tortilla chips in, your hot oil, you want your oil nice and hot, and my flame is on a high flame heat. You want your tortilla chips just like I did when I put them in there, how they started to fry and sizzle right away. That's what you want. If you put your tortillas in there, the little chips that you've cut, if you put your corn tortillas in there and they don't start to sizzle, don't put the rest in. Take them out. Wait till your oil gets nice and hot, and then you want to go on and put them in. You want them to float, okay? So in order to fry them up well and have them be nice and crispy, you want them to float like they're doing right now, float on the surface. And then I just take my tongs and I move them around. And you see how they're starting to get like stiff. They're starting to get really firm and stiff. So they're going to go from soft to really nice, firm and stiff. They're going to start to crisp up. Now the secret to frying up your own homemade tortillas is that you want to make sure that you're watching them as they start to get brown around the edges of your tortilla chip. You want to start to flip them and move them a little bit more because they're almost ready. It doesn't take long. They're only going to fry up for about a minute to a minute and a half at the very most. They're going to fry up quickly. And you want to start taking them out as soon as you see they are no longer white in the inside and that around the edges have gotten really firm and a nice golden brown, because as you continue to take them out of your hot oil, they'll continue to cook. The last one's going to continue to cook as you're taking them out. So you want to be mindful because your tortillas will go from being a nice, beautiful golden color to burnt very quickly. Another important tip I want to share when making your homemade tortilla chips is that the center of your triangle of your tortilla chip is going to be that light color. But you know, as you first put them in, they're like that light color. As your tortilla starts to harden and get like stiff and crispy in the center, you want the centers to be nice and set. And when they're nice and set, they're going to also be a nice golden brown as well. If the center of the tortilla is not set and it's only set around the outside, around the rim, you want to leave it in a little bit longer to make sure that center sets. If you don't, what'll happen is if you take your tortilla chips out of the oil and the center hasn't set, the outside will be crispy and the inside will be chewy. Also, be sure to drain your tortilla chips on a paper towel, and as soon as you take them out, sprinkle them with some coarse salt in batches as you're taking them out of the hot oil. Now next we're going to go on and work on our salsa. I have 1 bunch of cilantro, and then what I like to do is I cut off that bottom long stem part. We get rid of that, and then I go through in any yellow pieces or brown pieces of leaves. You want to go on and discard those from your bunches, and then you want to go on and just gather. You just want to go on and gather your cilantro all together, and we're just going to run our knife through and do a nice fine chop because this bunch of cilantro is going to be enough for both of our salsas, okay? Also, when it comes to your cilantro, what I like to do is when I get my cilantro bunches from the store, rinse them really good in cold water, and then I like to drain them wrapped in a paper towel. And so that helps to get rid of the excess water and moisture. So when I'm ready to chop them, they're not wet at all. They've kind of dried out some. And so that's what you want to do. And it's just easier to work with your cilantro like that. And so I just take my knife through and just go back and forth just like I'm doing. We want small, tiny little pieces. Something like, say, a little bit bigger than like a piece of rice, you know, so you're going to have some small pieces, some big pieces. But this is going to work great for both of our salsas. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returner, welcome back. I am so glad that you decided to spend time with me today in my kitchen as I make my wonderful homemade salsa bar. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I invite you to consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that subscribe button and becoming one of my awesome subscribers. Now, when you're using your limes for your salsa, you want to choose a lime that has smooth skin like this one. They're going to be a little bit juicier than the limes that have like more of a bumpy skin. So try to choose a lime that has smooth skin like the one I was showing you. So first what we're going to do is we're going to be using a red onion, and we're going to be chopping up half of a red onion, and we're going to chop our red onion, we're going to dice it up to small pieces about the size of a pea that we're going to be dicing up our red onion. We're going to now be making our corn and black bean salsa. My corn and black bean salsa is my ultimate favorite. I love it because it goes so good with tacos, carne asada. Oh my gosh, when we make chicken tacos or shrimp tacos, just on the side as just like the side dish with the tortilla chips. This salsa is the ultimate. I just love it. I have been making it for so many years, and it is my pleasure to share how I put together my black bean and corn salsa with y'all. So I have my large bowl and my strainer, and we're going to be using a can of black beans, just regular black beans. We're also going to be using a can of the steamed crisp corn. You can also use thawed frozen corn as well. And what we did was I went on and I took the black beans and the corn, drained them with the strainer, and rinsed them in cold water, and then put them in the bowl. To that, we're going to add 1 can of the diced tomatoes with green chilies, okay? Now, the diced tomatoes with the green chilies in the can come in a few different heat levels. We're using the original, which kind of to me is more like a medium, a mild to medium. It also comes in a hot, and it does also come in a mild. I mostly see the original, and that's the one that we're using. And you want to just go on and put in the entire can of the diced tomatoes with the green chili. We added in the diced red onion that we did earlier. Mix everything around top to bottom just like that, and get everything nice and mixed around. Then once we do that, what I do is the cilantro that we had chopped up, we're going to put about half of that cilantro, which is about a third of a cup if you were measuring out, about a third of a cup to about a half a cup right up in there. Then we're going to go on and squeeze some of our nice limes right in there. And normally I have my little lime squeezer, but it grew legs and walked away from the kitchen. I have no idea where it's at. So we're just going to use our hand muscles and squeeze our limes. And also with the salsa, I used a half of the red onion. I chopped that up. But you are more than welcome to use a full red onion if you like. If you want a little bit more onion, go for it. Go on and use a full red onion if you choose to. Now, once we've added our cilantro and our lime to our bowl, we're going to go on and mix our salsa around, and we're going to add some seasoning. We're going to be adding some kosher salt, and I like to use the coarse kosher salt versus table salt. I have found that using actually the kosher salt, and oh, look at that, it's looking so good, y'all. But using the kosher salt, to me, I found it to be a little less salty, and I feel that the food actually can, the flavor is enhanced better using kosher salt than using just regular table salt. But if what you have on hand is regular table salt, go on and use that. Use it very sparingly because it can go from tasting really good to being overly salty, especially having that lime juice in there as well. So what I put in a half of a teaspoon of kosher salt to start. Then we're going to go in and get our spoon. We're going to give it a little taste just to kind of see for seasoning and flavor where we're at with the lime and the salt. This is tasting good. I think that we're right on the money. It's looking really good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a top on our salsa. We're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it chill. Now this salsa, you can also even make it a day ahead of time if you'd like, and it comes out just so perfect. So this is the black bean and corn salsa, my absolute favorite. So I'm going to top it, put it in the refrigerator, let it just get nice and chilled, and then we're going to go on and finish making the rest of our salsa for our wonderful salsa bar that we are doing. So I have here a beautiful Roma tomato, and this is probably about double the size of, say, like a large size egg. This is the regular Roma tomatoes that we're using. They're nice, fresh, and wonderful. And what you do is we're going to core it and take out the center core. And you see, I just used my spoon and I get in there and I work back and forth, and see that center part that has the seeds attached and the core, we take that out. What you want is this. You just want to use the shell, the outside shell of the tomato. That's what we're going to do. We don't want to use the flesh in the inside, just that outer part. Because if you ever notice when you have salsas, if you go to a restaurant or if you're buying them in the store, you don't see a bunch of tomato seeds in your salsa. So you just want to use that outside shell, okay? And we're going to be making pico de gallo. Pico de gallo is that wonderful base salsa. It's the one that you will see probably in most restaurants you go to. You will see the pico de gallo. Well, you can make your pico de gallo mild, you can make it medium, you can make it hot, kind of just depending on your taste and your flavor. We are going to be making a mild pico de gallo, but I'm going to share with you ways if you want to make yours a little bit more spicy. And with your pico de gallo, if you want your pico de gallo to be chunky, you can chop your tomatoes about the size of a dime. If you want it to be a little bit more diced, your pico de gallo to have smaller diced tomatoes, then you want to do those probably about the size of a pea or say a kernel of corn, right up in there. Today I'm making ours chunky, and then I'm doing mine about the size of say like a dime. Also, you want to use about 7 to 8 Roma tomatoes, and in the description box below I will have a list of the ingredients for all of the salsas as well as the guacamole. Not sure if I mentioned that before, but I want to let you guys know. Now these are the two different peppers. The one that I have in my hand, the one on the left here, the one that we're going to be using, this is a jalapeno pepper. The other pepper, the thinner pepper, more like the size of your finger, that one is called a serrano pepper. The serrano pepper is gonna pack more heat than the jalapeno. Now the jalapeno will come in different varieties, but typically what you will find in the store with the jalapeno is going to be more of a mild jalapeno, okay? The serrano though, that I was mentioning before, the serrano, the thinner pepper, that's the one if you want it nice and spicy. So you want to be sure to do what I did, which is take out the core and the center with the seeds in it and that vein. You want to make sure that you get that out. If you have 1 or 2 seeds left behind, it's not going to make your dish too spicy. So 1 or 2 seeds is really doesn't make much of a difference. And then you want to go on and just dice it up. Nice fine diced pieces, small pea-sized pieces. And I take the center core out, that vein out with my spoon, just like I did when I used my spoon to take out the center of the tomato. I used the spoon to also work in there and get that core out and get the seeds out. And so we're just going to use 1 diced jalapeno. Then we're going to use a white onion, and I'm using a medium onion. And we're also going to go on and dice that up. I'm going to use a half of an onion, but if you'd like a lot of onion, you can definitely use 1 full white medium onion, and just go on and dice it just like that. And adding the jalapeno pepper or the serrano pepper, either one of those is optional. You don't have to add them, but it does add that additional flavor, that additional little bit of a crunch to the dish for sure. So I added the rest of the cilantro that we had, and that was about 1/3 of a cup to about 1/2 a cup. We're going to go on and add in some lime, some fresh squeezed lime juice, and we're going to start off with 1 fresh squeezed lime. Now, another way that I also like to make my salsas is I like to make a nice roasted salsa. And when I say roasted, I like to roast my tomatoes, my onion, my peppers, and I make a nice rojo salsa, a nice roasted salsa. And I also make a nice verde salsa, and that's my green salsa. And I'll sometimes also make chile verde. My husband loves the chile verde that I make with the roasted pork and the green tomatillo salsa. And so I'm definitely going to share those with you. So definitely stay tuned for those for future videos. Now, once we put a little bit of some seasoning in there, and that was the kosher salt, and I start off by putting in about a half of a teaspoon of the coarse kosher salt. You want to go on and mix everything around. We're going to give it a taste to see how it's tasting. It's looking good. Wow, when you look at that, it looks so good. That is just a great portion of the jalapeno and the tomato, the onion and the cilantro. It's just so nice and fresh. And so let's go on and give it a try and see how we're doing with the seasoning. Seasoning is good, but I went on and added just a pinch more of the kosher salt. So we went on and we put our Pico de Gallo in the refrigerator, let it chill. We're going to work on our guacamole, and you want to choose, you see how like my thumb when I press on the avocado, how it just indents just a little bit? That's what you want to do when you're choosing a nice ripe avocado to make your guacamole. You just want, like when you press on it, you don't want your finger to go all the way through, your thumb to go all the way through. You want to just have like a little bit of a give, and that's when they're starting to get that nice ripe texture that you want, that's going to give you the creaminess, and it's going to give you that nice chunkiness when you're making your guacamole. Now, when I'm working with my avocados to make my guacamole, I cut them in half like you saw. Then I take my spoon and I go around that inside skin, between the skin and the flesh of the avocado, and I just go on and scoop it out, so then that way I can go on and cut it up. Now, when it's time to get to take out that center seed, that stone that's in the center, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. The couple of ways that I like to do it is, you see how I kind of worked it out? I kind of put my thumb in between the flesh of the avocado and the seed, and I worked it around and I popped it out. That's one way. It's kind of messy that way, but there's another way that I prefer to do it, and it works best when your avocado has that give to it. Okay, and it's a little firm, but your avocado has a little give when you press on it. The way that I'm going to show you to get the stone out in the middle usually works best. So we've chopped up our first avocado. Now what I do is I go on and I rotate just like that, like I did before, and then I just twist. Okay, so you're going to have your two halves, and then I go on in there and I scoop and I work and I rotate around between the outside skin and that flesh again. You pop out your full piece of your half of an avocado just like that. And now for that center stone, I take my spoon, and you see what I'm doing? I'm just working that spoon all around that center stone, giving it a little bit of leverage. And then when I do that, I just move my spoon back and forth and I release that center stone of the avocado just like that. And then I go on and I chop like I'm doing. And remember, this really is going to work best with that center stone, is when you have that give to that avocado that I was talking about. Now in my family, we like to have our guacamole just really simple with the avocado, some lime, and some kosher salt. That's how we like to have ours. Definitely with guacamole, you can make it your own by adding cilantro if you like, either serrano pepper if you want it spicy, jalapeno pepper if you just want that crunch and a little bit of that mild spice to it. You can add onion if you like, diced tomato. It kind of like you can just make it your own however you see fit. With the recipe that I'll have in the description box below, I usually use it anywhere from about 4 to 6 avocados, depending on how much, I'm going to be making for the family. I use either 1 or 2 squeezes of lime. We always start off with 1 lime first, and then we add our seasoning to our taste. When it comes to mixing and blending your guacamole, so for the avocados, you can use a spoon or a fork. If I have a big bowl and I'm doing a lot for like a party, I'll use my potato masher. And then for my limes, whether I'm using it for my salsa or my guacamole, I like to go on and roll my limes with my palm on the counter, just like you saw me doing a minute ago. I like to do that just to kind of like work out some of those juices and loosen up the pulp. And that'll give me a lot more lime juice than just squeezing them just like that. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and I always like to start with a half a teaspoon, and then we can always add a little bit if you need more, but starting off with a half a teaspoon and then judging it from there, I find usually works best. Now, to keep your avocados from going brown, your guacamole from going brown, there's 2 different things you can do. One is that you can, once you have your guacamole all nice and mixed, take some more lime juice and squeeze all over the top, a nice sheen all over the top. Before you put it out to serve will keep your guacamole nice and fresh and not going brown on top. Another way is with your saran wrap. You want to take your saran wrap and put your saran wrap where it's touching the top of the guacamole, and you just squeeze out all the air and keep it nice, secure, right sitting on top. Well, these are our wonderful salsas for our salsa bar, our pico de gallo. We have our black bean and corn salsa. We have our wonderful tortilla chips that we made earlier. It looks so good. Those look restaurant style, y'all. I'm so proud of us. So I'm going to dish us up some of this delicious pico de gallo. It's nice and fresh. I had it in the refrigerator. It was chilling. The lime juice and salt just mixed in so well. We have our black bean and corn salsa. It is looking so good. I cannot wait to have some. And I'm going to share this plate with y'all. And this goes so good. Like I said, if you're going to have tacos, some carne asada, whether you're having shrimp or what have you, you're just having friends over. And this is our different salsas that we made. And we put them together with all those wonderful fresh ingredients. Our nice homemade tortilla chips, but let's give this a try. Let's go on and first try our guacamole. Look at it, y'all. It's looking so good. Will you look at that guacamole? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's your bite. Try your bite. Okay, I'm gonna try it. With this tortilla chip, y'all, that is so good. I cannot waste this little piece of tortilla chip. Let me just go on and get some of that pico de gallo with that. Okay, I'm gonna get a fresh chip. I'm gonna get y'all some of this pico de gallo. Let's see what we're working with this delicious pico de gallo. So nice and fresh. And this is just such a nice little snack too. Go on and take your bite. Give it a try. I'm gonna see how we did. This pico de gallo, just so good and fresh. Oh my goodness. You make this delicious homemade salsa bar. We have Memorial Day coming up. 4th of July, Cinco de Mayo, all of our picnics and barbecues this summer, y'all. And we have our wonderful, you see that beautiful golden brown corn tortilla chip. But this right here, will you look at that? Beautiful black bean and corn salsa. Go ahead and take your bite. Okay, I'm going to take my bite. This is my favorite right here. Chicken tacos, carne asada. I know I have mentioned that before, but it is worth repeating. You get your cute little ramekins and your bowls, and you put your salsas out for everybody, and you just do your salsa bar up so nice for your family and friends to enjoy. Well, leave a comment down below and let me know what's your favorite salsa. I thank you for spending time with me today in my kitchen. I hope you give these recipes a try. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.